For 20 million years, one shark owned every ocean on Earth. Its teeth were the size of your hand. Its prey were whales. Some estimates put it at over 20 meters, longer than a bus. And then, 3.6 million years ago, it vanished. No asteroid, no disease, and no bigger monster rising from the deep. That story belongs to Hollywood. What actually killed the largest shark that ever lived was slower, colder, and far more interesting. And the animal that took its throne still holds it. The ocean has had many kings, and it has taken every one of them back. Ichthyosaurs, shaped like dolphins. Pliosaurs, with skulls longer than a person is tall. Mosasaurs, holding the throne until the asteroid. And then the next king wasn't a reptile at all. It was a whale, Basilosaurus, so long and so serpentine that the scientist who first described it was certain it was a sea monster and gave it a lizard's name by mistake. 4 dynasties. Not one of them was beaten in a fight. Each of them lost an ocean. Then, in the Miocene, the throne goes to a shark. Otodus Megalodon shows up about 23 million years ago, and within a few million years, it is everywhere. Its teeth turn up on 6 continents. Not a handful of them, thousands. The biggest are around 18 centimeters from root to tip, about the length of your hand from wrist to fingertip, and the edges are serrated like steak knives. For most of the last century, we drew this animal as a scaled-up great white, a thick, barrel-chested torpedo. In 2025, a team of 29 researchers went back to the vertebrae, which are very nearly the only part of the skeleton we actually have, and compared them against 165 other sharks. What came back was longer and leaner, closer to a lemon shark than a great white, and the largest individual they were willing to defend was about 24 meters. I want to be careful with that number. It's the upper end of what the fossils allow, not a measurement. No complete megalodon skeleton has ever been found. But the empire was never really about how big the adults got. It was about where the young ones grew up. Warm, shallow, sheltered coastal seas, Panama, Spain, the eastern United States, deposits full of small teeth and almost no large ones. Nurseries. Hold on to that word too. Then the world starts to cool. Through the late Miocene and into the Pliocene, global temperatures fall. Ice builds up at the poles, and when water gets locked up as ice at the poles, sea level drops everywhere else. Think about what that does to a coastline. The shallow shelf seas, the warm, bright, sheltered water, don't just get colder, they get smaller. They break into pieces, and the nurseries are in that water. But here's where the simple version of this story breaks down, and I think it's worth saying out loud. Cooling on its own does not explain Megalodon. This was not a tropical animal that ran out of tropics. Its teeth come from a wide band of latitudes and a wide range of water temperatures, and it had already lived through a major cooling step tens of millions of years earlier. If falling temperature were the whole answer, the extinction should track the temperature curve. It doesn't, not cleanly. So the cold is real, and it matters enormously. But cold water doesn't kill a shark this size. Cold water moves the food. Megalodon ate whales. Not the giants we have now. The Miocene Ocean was full of small and mid-sized baleen whales, coastal animals, almost exactly the right size to be hunted by something 20 meters long. Those are the whales that disappear. The ones that survive into the Pliocene do 2 things. They get bigger and they leave. They follow the cold, productive water toward the poles, on the long migrations their descendants still make today. So the prey didn't simply decline, it moved out of the neighborhood. And by then, Megalodon wasn't the only large shark at that table. In 2022, a team measured zinc isotopes locked into the outer layer of fossil teeth, a chemical signature that records how high up the food web an animal was feeding. Early Pliocene great whites and Megalodon come out at a similar level. Now, that is not proof that they fought. It isn't even proof they ate the same animals. What it is evidence that two large predators were feeding at the same height of the same food web, in the same water, at the same time. One of them was 20 meters long and needed an enormous amount of food. The other was 6 meters long, bred faster, and needed far less. There was one more giant out there, and I'm not going to skip it. Livyatan, a sperm whale with a jaw full of teeth over 30 centimeters long, built to grab and tear rather than slice. For millions of years, two completely different answers to the same problem shared one ocean. I'm not going to show you them fighting. There's no evidence they ever did, and anyone who animates that fight is selling you something. I'll tell you what we actually know about Livyatan. We have, essentially, one skull. Its last fossils are millions of years older than the last Megalodon teeth, so it went first. Ask why, and the honest answer is that nobody can tell you. That is what the fossil record usually looks like. Remember that. So here is the version most paleontologists would sign off on today. 3 things happened at roughly the same time. The world cooled and sea level fell, which shrank the shallow seas and broke them into fragments. The prey base contracted and moved toward the poles. And a smaller, cheaper, faster breeding shark was feeding at the same level of the food web. No single one of those is fatal on its own. Together, they are. The last honest Megalodon fossils are about 3.6 million years old. Everything after that turns out to be either badly recorded or eroded out of older rock and dumped into younger deposits. There's no long tail, it just stops. And I'll say this for the nursery part of that story. It has held up better than I expected. It was challenged directly. The argument was that all those small teeth aren't nurseries at all, just Megalodon growing smaller in warmer water, the way Bergman's rule would predict. This year, 2 separate teams tested it. One ran 492 measured teeth through 10,000 resampling runs. The other went through the entire Iberian record. Both came down on the same side. They were nurseries, which leaves the 3-factor answer looking pretty solid. Everything I've told you so far came out of somebody else's paper. This next part doesn't. Inside the field, this is not one answer, it's a spread. The team that pinned down the extinction date argued that competition with great whites was the main driver. The 3-factor version puts cooling and the nurseries at the center. Different emphases held by serious people. From the outside, you don't see any of that. You see one settled story. And the gap where the disagreement used to be gets filled with numbers. 100,000 calories a day, a collapse in 500,000 years. I went looking for where those came from. I couldn't find it. I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm saying I couldn't trace them. What would change my mind is one study that measures the whole chain end to end. Body shape, heat loss, calories, prey. Not 4 reasonable steps stacked on top of each other. One measurement that runs all the way through. I can't prove the 3-factor story is wrong. I don't think it is. But something else will turn up eventually. And when it does, I don't think it'll be anything we're expecting right now. 3.6 minutes after the last Megalodon tooth hit the seafloor, the ocean has a top predator again, just a much smaller one. There was a dynasty before Megalodon that lost the same ocean a different way. That story is on screen now.